So I was at the vet today because Cecil needed to go again. And fortunately, somebody canceled their dental appointment and I was able to get him in.
Oh,
Right.
nice.
So I guess the first thing I want to talk about is like, if something looks off with your pet, get it checked out. Now, because Cecil has had issue, he's got a constricted anus. He's had some issues in his back end. So when a lump appeared, that's going to get my attention. We're going to go to the vet. Turns out it's nothing more than a fatty lump. And she goes to me, well, we'll aspirate it next time if it comes back. And I'm like, no. You go and aspirate it today. Okay. Because I've had a dog have a fatty tumor. And when they aspirated, they sucked out type 2 cancer cells.
Oh, okay.
So I've learned not to trust fatty tumors.
Yeah.
So for Cecil, he's fine, just a fatty tumor. However, while I was there, I was telling the vet about this podcast that we do. And was there anything she wanted to have us discuss? And she just did one of these, Kate. Oh my God, I got 1,000 things. Okay.
Well, that's good. Did she give you 1,000 topics?
She goes, okay, the two big things that we're seeing left and right is marijuana toxicity and rat poison.
Rat poison too, really?
Yeah, she says those are the two things that they're seeing a lot. I says the only good thing about it being legal. Oh, hold on a second. Siri is like sending you a message, Kate, just about everything we've just discussed.
Well, I'm glad she's keeping track.
Well, she's transcribing for us.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'll do that later. I'm actually going to send it to you, so ignore it. It's going to be easier that way. Okay, so anyway, so she says the only good thing about marijuana being legal now is that people will admit to it.
Right.
Okay, whereas before they're like, I don't know what he did or how he got a hold of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so their biggest concern now isn't like the plant, which is highly toxic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the blunt that you leave lying around. It's the gummies.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The gummies are highly concentrated and highly toxic to pets.
Do the gummies? This is I don't use the product, but do the gummies add in xylitol?
You know what? It's possible that they do. I don't see why they wouldn't. So it might be a double whammy.
Yeah.
From the pets. So I don't do gummies either. I can't. My body doesn't digest THC very well.
I've never tried, so I don't know how my body would react to it. But yeah, that's an aspect that I wonder if they're starting to add xylitol to that.
You know what? I'm gonna head over to the weed store because my husband wants to try some of the gummies for pain. He has arthritis. When we pick up a bag, I'll flip the bag over and see. Because if it's a human product, they gotta list what's in it.
Right, and that's something that is still legal for us, but damages them.
Yeah. So just to be aware that if you have gummies in your house, THC gummies, make sure your pets can't get a hold of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I forgot what the actual percentage is. I know one of the top things for toxicity for pets is medications, whether prescription or non-prescription like this. It's medications and the pets getting into them.
Yeah, and just to be like really clear with prescriptions and stuff like that, even though it might be a drug that's for people and the drug company makes it for people version and they make a pet version on it. Those are two different medications.
Well, and a lot of times, Mary, we're seeing the medications where it's not difference, it's dosage difference because of the fact that these prescriptions are being used off label in the veterinary world. And so, therefore, it is by dosage. And when I did my sedative seminar, that was one of the things that it's like you need to be aware of that because how many times do we have owners that come in and they're like, oh, I gave him a little bit extra because you weren't able to do his face last time. Well, that little bit extra could be just enough that now all of a sudden you've got a first aid emergency that they just didn't think about because they don't understand that those prescriptions are being used off label.
Is different. And some of the, I guess, the base product, what they use for pets. So people should not be taking their pets' medication, and pets should not be taking our medications. All right. Even though on the label it says the same thing. All right. It's dosed differently between species. And sometimes what they cut the the pet medication is stuff we can't tolerate, but pets can. So it's not interchangeable. Be honest with your veterinarian, be honest with your doctor. Crew of dogs beforehand, Marcus, my min pin, comes in the house and he's definitely off on something. Okay. He's definitely neurological. The first thing I checked was for a snake bite because we do have copperheads in the area. And I couldn't see anything and bringing him into the vet. And at that time, marijuana was not legal in Connecticut. Okay. However, the vet was from California. And she basically took one look at Marcus and go, you smoke pot? And I'm like, no. You got teenage neighbors? And I'm like, yes, I do. And just like that, yes, I do. Okay. Apparently, the kids were smoking pot in the backyard. Mom and dad came home, so they threw the evidence. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Another expensive vet bill. And when I had word with the mom about it, it was like, oh, no, not my kids. Kids would never do that.
I was seriously, they didn't take responsibility for it.
Nope. Because her kids would never do that.
Oh, man. That's not right.
No, it's not. But whatever. They were put on notice anyway. So what can I say?
Right.
Toxicity is you need to be aware of what is toxic in your, and that's the little bugger over here. It was totally violated at the vets today.
He's like, I want to jump on and talk about my experience.
Not only was he violated at the vet's office, they cut his nails.
Oh, geez, double whammy.
Oh, seriously. I could hear him in the back. They came back and he says that every nail he had something to say.
Oh, gosh.
Like, why I paid you to do it. So, all right, back to topic at hand. So the other thing that my vet sees a lot is this is a very rural area. So there's a lot of mouse and rat traps out all over the place. And so they get a lot of pets that come in. And she says, if they come in, there's like two different types of rat poison. There's a warfarin based one, which I did not even know about because apparently it was actually the first type of rat poison was warfarin based. I did not even know that. But it can be treated. So if you got into rat poison and it's warfarin based, it can be treated. If pet gets into rat poison and it's the other type, the one that's most commonly sold in the stores, there's not necessarily a whole lot they can do if they don't get it like immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually learned about that in my canine medic class.
So I guess it's probably we should talk about signs of toxicity then.
Yeah.
But before we do that, can we play our commercial?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
Are you tired of putting off your emergency and disaster planning manual? Look no further. This 67-page fillable template will make the process a breeze. Simply fill in the blanks for your business and gain access to checklists for supplies, common hazards, debriefing, evacuation and sheltering in place protocols, resources, recovery, maintenance, as well as best intake practices. It's time to take action and be prepared. Get your copy today at positiveed.com/books.
Okay, so the signs of toxicity. The quickest, I guess, observation of the pet, all right? Because some poisons are neurotoxins, and that will affect the nervous system. So that's the dog that or the cat that appears drunk, it's not walking correctly. Okay. And then there are other poisons that just disrupt organs and stuff like that. And you may notice that because they're vomiting or diarrhea, or their gums are red
or pale, depending on what it
or
is.
pale. Okay. Gum color is a great indicator of that there's a problem going on.
It's the first thing I always check.
First thing I check. And just as a mobile groomer, I did a lot of old dogs. Gum color was checked throughout the groom. There is nothing that is a better indicator that a problem. You may not know what the problem is, but if those gums aren't that nice, healthy pink, maybe modeled if it's if that's that pet's normal, there's a problem going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always, because I still groom the seniors, and it's like that focus is on the mouth area.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the gums, I'm looking at the tongue, just making sure that they still have their mentation.
Yep. So gum color, and honestly and truly, before I even start a groom, before anyone starts a groom, they should check gum color. All right. I will die on that soapbox.
You know, Angie has a good story on that one.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
She's got a great story on that, where she actually knew what she was looking at because she was educated as far as, you know, what the proper color would be, and saw that it was bright, bright red and knew that that was a red flag and told them, go to the vet ASAP. We're not grooming today. And they go to the vet, and that's when they found out that the dog had ingested rat poison.
Yep.
So if she wouldn't have paid attention to that or even looked at that, who knows what would have happened to her while the dog was in the grooming salon or right after he got home.
Exactly. Okay. And that was those bright red gums. Right. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it was a young dog. It wasn't an older dog. I mean, I know a lot of groomers will look at gum colors of older dogs, but that dog that Angie was grooming, that was a young dog. That was a dog that maybe a year, maybe 2 years old. It was a young dog.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the thing too, because we don't know. Just because they're young doesn't mean that they might not have a heart defect that owner didn't know about. I had a dog not too long ago, actually, that ended up collapsing on my table. And I mean, I had literally just put her on the table, and she started collapsing, but her gum color was fine. She still had her mentation. Her back legs just started giving out.
Explain what you mean by mentation.
Mentation means that it's kind of like following your fingers, being able to track you, still listen to what you're saying, still be able to follow your voice. Just they're still there. Because sometimes, you know, we have to look at nystagmus. So a nystagmus is when your eyes just kind of bounce. The muscles will just bounce if there's some neurological thing maybe going on, or if they're under substance abuse. Well, I don't want to say substance abuse on an animal, but if they have a substance, they might have nystagmus. So looking at their mentation, are they following you? Are they still with it? Heat stroke too is mentation will start to go if they start to go into heat stroke. So I'll usually look at that. And she came across as fine, but it wasn't right. I called mom. She came to pick her up. And by the time that she came to pick her up, and we're just talking minutes here, she really started going paralyzed in her back end. Ended up, she had a spinal stroke. And she had some health issues that weren't picked up previously. So they had no idea that she had disc issues, and so she had the spinal stroke.
Okay. All right. So paying attention to the pets in our care throughout the groom.
Mhm.
Okay. So poisoning. Now, here's the thing with poisoning and what do you do for poisoning, right?
Mhm.
Different protocols for different poisons. What helps in one instance can cause harm in another.
Right.
Okay. There's two. There's pet poison hotline and pet poison helpline. The pet poison hotline that is put out by the ASPCA, I believe.
Yeah, they have one, but then there's a couple of them out there actually, but ASPCA is the one that's got the 800 number.
Pet poison helpline also has an 800, or it might be an 888 number. Okay. But this is why these numbers are important, because there's different protocols for different poisons. Okay. So it's not an automatic, like I'll just induce vomiting in my pet and then we'll be fine. No,
Oh, we can be doing stuff much worse.
you might be making the situation much worse.
Yeah.
And that's even if your hydrogen peroxide is a new bottle that hasn't been sitting in the back of your cabinet for 6 months.
Because then you're just basically giving them water.
Then you're just basically giving them water. You're not doing anything. Okay?
Right.
So your first aid kit, but those should contain hydrogen peroxide, sealed, the new bottle for dogs, not for cats. Activated charcoal. Probably the only two things I would keep in my first aid kit for pets. And then I'm going to call one of those numbers, and I'm going to get. And the first thing they're going to ask me for is my credit card.
Right.
Okay. Whatever. Here's my credit card. Okay. Minutes matter in a poisoning. But that phone is staffed by a pharmacology trained veterinarian who's probably going to be more knowledgeable about what's going on with my pet than a veterinarian, a regular general practitioner veterinarian.
So when I used to work at the vet office, when we would have somebody that would call in to say that their dog ingested X, Y, and Z, the first thing that we would do is tell them to call poison control, because poison control is going to have the information. We had two general practitioner veterinarians, but to know every single substance and the diagnostics for that is not something that they deal with every single day. So we would just recommend to call poison control. They would open up the case, and then at that point they would work with the veterinarians.
Yeah. So the last time I checked, I believe pet poison hotline was $79 a call.
Oh, they go up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You know. But however, $79 when you think about it is what? 5 cups of coffee at Starbucks?
I don't drink Starbucks, so I don't know. But probably.
Oh. Maybe more. Maybe 10 cups. I don't know.
Bottom line is, it's not that much coffee.
It's not that much money, right? And I'm not a coffee snob, so I will as easily drink coffee from a gas station as I will almost from any other location. So if I'm willing to pay $2 for a gas station coffee, I'm most certainly not spending $5 on Starbucks when I'm not noticing the difference.
No, as a matter of fact, like I would rather just call poison control for caffeine toxicity than have to worry about Starbucks.
And a lot of poisons do have to do with the pet's body weight too. Mm-hmm. So that 150-pound Newfie might be able to eat a box of chocolate, whereas it'll kill the Chihuahua.
Right.
Okay. So common things that like are around the house, and also take a pet first aid class.
You know, I think that should just be a given.
Yeah.
Like when people rescue their animals, they should get a voucher to take the class, or there should be some system set up that's just kind of an automatic thing.
They should. All right. But that's another rant for another day.
Right. So true.
It is. So, stock your kit. Like I said, fresh hydrogen peroxide and activated charcoal. Also, something else with an expiration date.
Mhm.
And then wait to hear from, wait to be given instructions on what to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, other things that are toxic in the household that might be common. Okay. So, gum,
Oh, that's really toxic with the xylitol, especially the
xylitol.
ice cube gum. Yeah.
And you know what? And I hardly have eat gum anymore because they put xylitol in it. I don't know. It just has that chemical taste to it.
I found one actually at Target that doesn't have xylitol, and it's a natural gum.
Ooh.
So it doesn't last as long as, all the others, but at least I don't have to worry if they were to get into it. I don't have to worry about them getting toxicity from it.
Okay. And just kind of remind everybody that xylitol may be, might say birch sugar on it instead,
Mhm.
because, apparently xylitol's got a bad rap. So we won't call it xylitol anymore. We'll call it birch sugar.
Birch sugar, birch wood. I think there's one more too. I'm going to look that up real quick.
Okay. Some of the peanut butters have it as well. So read your ingredients whenever your pets have access to it. Chocolate, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Kira, my 135-pound Shepherd Malamute, got the candy heart that was on top of the refrigerator.
Mm.
Got it down off the top of the refrigerator, and then opened up each. She didn't eat the wrappers, which could have been another issue.
Mm-hmm.
But picked every candy out of the wrapper and ate the box.
Oh, geez.
Honestly, but this was before artificial sugars were a thing. So there's that.
Yeah.
But she was mostly eating sugar. There was hardly any real chocolate.
She was like, bing, bing.
Yeah, she had no problem going to the bathroom for a while. But after that, it was like, where do I put my Valentine heart? It was on top. Yes, she's a big dog, but it was on top of the refrigerator.
Sounds like something mine would do. If they can find it, they're going to find it.
Yeah, but you dogs, I could see tag teaming.
Oh, absolutely. My dogs. You know what? It's funny because Rook has different behavior things that I'm working on with him, but Bishop is the one that figures everything out. So it would be Bishop that would instigate it.
Yeah. You go here, and then you do this, and then you do that, and we'll get that box of chocolate.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty certain Kira did that all on her own.
She's no dummy.
He was no dummy. Okay. So we have caffeine and alcohol. That's another thing about leaving lying around.
And then, I know some people are like, well, my dogs have had one or two and it's been fine, but grapes and raisins, because of the tartaric acid.
Yep.
So it can actually cause kidney damage.
Yep.
Onions, we don't want to give them onions, but garlic, I usually see garlic on the list. And garlic, if your dog were to have a little bit of garlic, isn't all that toxic. So there's certain levels of it that it becomes toxic, but just to have just a little bit. And actually, as you can see, mine are causing trouble right now, but a little bit actually, depending on the holistic veterinarians, but sometimes that's recommended just for flea and tick control. It's just the amount of it.
Yeah. So, but like people, animals can have different tolerances for different things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I had a friend one of my clients whose lab had kidney issues because she thought grapes would be good for her pet. She didn't give him too many. I mean, she probably gave him like a handful of grapes, but the dog ended up in kidney failure.
Yeah. And I think it goes kind of back to what we were saying before, as far as the size of the animal, the tolerance of the animal, what other, other health conditions. I think we forget that we're all individuals. And even though we have a baseline of what's normal for one is not normal for another.
Exactly. Okay. My father was deathly allergic to strawberries. He couldn't eat anything with strawberries in it.
Oh, wow.
I never heard of that before. And I'm really glad it's not genetic. Or if it's genetic, you can pass it on to me.
I know strawberries are so good.
Really good. I'm like really upset if I couldn't have strawberries. If my brothers have that issue, whatever.
Not your problem.
Not my problem.
Oh, that's too funny.
But animals are the same thing. What might, cause problem for one may not do anything at all to another pet. I mean, my mother had 3 great aunts who smoked literally like chimneys. You'd go to before my time, but she said you would go to their house, open up the door, and the smoke would just billow out. And this is in the day of unfiltered cigarettes too.
This is back in the day when the Flintstones actually advertised for Camels.
And they lived to 95, 97, and 99.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot that can go into toxicities, and just because you gave one dog grapes its entire life and never had a problem doesn't mean it's a safe thing to do.
Right.
Okay, so we're up on our half hour, Kate.
We did good.
Yes, we did. Since yesterday, last week we went so over.
Yeah,
that was true. I don't think we're meeting next week. Nope, we're not meeting next week.
Okay.
But let's see if we'll be back the following week. Yes, we will. So see you February 3rd.
Sounds good.